In this video, I want to talk about the dangers of making too many assumptions when you're inside a relationship. Assumptions can be really difficult, and often it's because we have a lot of noise in our head. And it could be that a lot of the noise in our head is feeding us information that isn't entirely accurate. Making a lot of assumptions in a relationship is actually a sign of being quite a triggered person in a relationship. It can also be a sign, when you have a lot of triggers, of unresolved trauma, because a trauma lives on like a tentacle in the triggers that we have in the present moment. So lots of assumptions and meanings and reading into things and jumping into conclusions can be a sign of unresolved conflict or trauma from your past. When you're in a relationship and you're making a lot of assumptions, you probably have quite a high conflict relationship. And it could also be that you're basing those assumptions on your gut feeling. And from experience as a trauma therapist, I can tell you that your gut feeling cannot be trusted when you have unresolved trauma, because it could actually be a trigger that is feeding you that information rather than your gut feeling feeding you that information. So the information that you're receiving is not necessarily accurate. So testing that is crucial. Checking in with yourself. Well, hang on a second. How do I know this thing is true? And before I, like a horse, bolt out the gate, go around the corner and like start acting to my partner or the person I'm in a relationship like the assumption that I've made is true, I've got to be careful, because the other person is going to be standing there going, come again? How did you get there? How did we end up there? What are you talking about? If your partner is communicating that kind of stuff with you, that's a sign that you are possibly making too many assumptions or meanings or mind readings in the relationship. It's key that if you find yourself in this pattern, to focus on your own work and get clear. What are all my triggers within this relationship? What are the themes of those triggers? What is it that it keeps setting me off so that the immediate response is to make an assumption? And it's key that in your relationship work to signpost this to your partner. And I'll talk a moment about signposting, but having a trauma, when you have somebody that makes a lot of assumptions within a relationship, there's like a trauma-informed type of marriage counseling which works better. Because the partner needs to be informed, the person that is doing the training on themselves and the development on themselves to heal from this past-based trauma needs to be informed, and everybody needs to understand signposting. So signposting is basically putting on loudspeaker the processing that is going on in the head. So rather than leaping to this like assumption and just starting to talk from that, check in a little bit with yourself. Well, what's just happened there? How did, okay, so signposting would be, when that happened, the story I told myself was, you don't love me, you don't care about me. And I can see that my responses and all the things that came after that were based on that assumption. Can I just be vulnerable for a second here and check with you? Was that assumption true? Because at that moment, the other person has the opportunity to clarify yes or no. Or what are you talking about? That wasn't my intention at all. And it gives the couple an opportunity to take a breath and take a moment to just see what is the lay of the land here. So if you are a person who is making a lot of assumptions in relationships, you have a lot of triggers, you probably need to do some work. And if you're in marriage counseling and your therapist is not using a trauma-informed approach, you're not handling the triggers within this relationship in the best way possible. That requires trauma therapy. So get in touch with us at Naked Marriage. We focus on a trauma-informed approach to marriage counseling and therapy. We teach couples how to process triggers. We teach people how to navigate all of this stuff, because we believe that healing is a learning journey. If you want to find out more, book a clarity call on our website and we'll talk you through our approach to see if it would be more appropriate for you and where you're at. Take care.